Hi, everyone. Welcome to Module 11. In this module, we'll begin our third project for our IRW class. You'll be asked to annotate or take notes on a resource about water. Then you'll be asked to discuss ideas about water issues that you've learned through these resources. And then you'll be asked to develop a working thesis statement for an editorial on water. So you'll see that there's an option to either annotate using Scribble or to take notes in a Word document for a water resource. There are several resources that you can choose from, so I'd encourage you to look through several of them. Maybe read the title, read the first couple paragraphs, or watch the beginning of the videos, and then choose one that you find most interesting and either annotate the resource if it's a text resource, so if it's an article, or take Cornell notes for one of the videos. Remember, when you annotate using Scribble, you can highlight sections in different colors. You can also add comment boxes. So I would encourage you that as you're highlighting, make sure you add comments so that you can tell why you've highlighted sections. So if you find sections that are interesting, choose one color and then explain why that part is interesting. Or if you find a section that's confusing, choose another color, right? Highlight it that way and add a comment to explain why it's confusing. Using color coding like this is helpful when you review your resource because then you can tell why you've highlighted it. Do the same things that we've done in the past too, right? By summarizing the main points that you see, picking out quotes that you think might be interesting or evidence that might be interesting. Because in a future module, we'll start planning out our assignment that we'll be writing. You'll be able to come back to your annotations and use some of the ideas to support the points that you make. If you instead watch a video and create Cornell notes, you'll see a Word document that you can open, and you should add your name, our class, the date to it. Double click in the area that's labeled title of the source so that you can replace this text with the title of the video you're watching. And then as you take Cornell notes, you'll see that there's a column labeled main idea or questions. This is where you kind of type out what you see as the main ideas or the main points that you're learning by watching the video, or questions that come up as you're watching the video. Then to the right, there's a column here where you should write in your notes. And so try to summarize what you're seeing based on the main ideas that are presented or questions that you're creating as you're watching. You can pause the video and write summaries. You can type in quotes as well or paraphrases, but you're collecting information that you might use for your own writing assignment. After this, you'll see that there's the Module 11 discussion. This is where you're asked to use one of the resources, so an article or a video, and to answer some questions about it. And it's fine to use the same resource, the same article or video that you just annotated or created notes for. You should develop a 1 to 2 sentence summary of the resource. Be sure to include the title of the resource, the author or creator, and what you think is the main idea or thesis of the source. Then describe what you think the purpose of the resource was. So do you think it's to inform or educate someone? Do you think it's to analyze an issue? Do you think it's to evaluate an issue? Is it to persuade somebody to do something? Look carefully at the resource, or you could rewatch the video and think about why this creator or writer has created this piece. Try to explain why you think this and include a quote to support your answer. So if you find that the piece is trying to educate, what's an example of that, right? Support that with a quote. Or if you feel like the piece is trying to persuade readers to do something, include a quote to explain your answer. And then describe your own reaction to this piece, right? Do you think this issue is important? Why or why not? Explain. And also include a quote to support your answer. And so we're getting more practice here with integrating quotes from the sources that we're reviewing. Remember, when we use direct quotes, we put quotation marks around that quote. It's also helpful to include a signal phrase. And usually that's something like the name of the author or the creator and an action word like describes, explains, argues, and then the quotation. Then due by Sunday are your comments on 2 of your peers' discussion posts. So you could respectfully explain why you agree or disagree. You could ask questions about their ideas, or you could share your perspective. In any way that you respond to your classmates, make sure you support your responses with specific examples and details. Then you'll see that there's a working thesis statement assignment. And so what this asks you to do is to basically kind of develop a rough draft of a thesis statement, something you might argue for a water issue. A weak thesis might be something like, people should conserve water. This is weak because it leaves so many open questions like why? Why should people conserve water? Or how? Or who? Which people or where? And so we want to be specific in our thesis. We're developing a thesis for an editorial. And so you'll read more about the editorial in the module. But an editorial typically educates readers about an issue and describes actions that people can take. And so we want to be able to tell what the editorial will explain. And so we need to be specific. A strong thesis will focus on a specific issue. It will emphasize the importance of the issue, and it will argue for specific actions to address the issue. You can use one of the or both of the thesis generator websites that are included in the module. And so these thesis generators will give you some help in kind of planning out your thesis. You're going to focus on one specific water issue and think about kind of why it's important and what people should do, right? Or who should do something to make it better. And then you're asked to briefly discuss what you think might be the main points, examples, and details you could support or you could use to support your thesis. And so this is just kind of a little bit of a planning exercise. And you may change this as you go, in future modules, as you start developing your editorial. It will be okay to revise your thesis and to add different evidence, right? But you're getting a start on it this week. So you'll see a module checklist like always. And as always, I'm here to help you. So if you have any questions, please send me an email and we could meet by phone or through Zoom video. I hope you have a great week. Thank you. Take care. Bye-bye.